Alright guys, Troy Francis coming at you with another video from South Beach in Miami. We are on the world famous Ocean Drive, and what I wanted to do today was talk about whether women's roles in society are in place due to biology or societal programming. Okay, and the reason I'm going to talk about this is because I was on Fresh and Fit the other night. And it was actually, it was just Fit actually, because Fresh is away at the moment. But I was on the Fresh and Fit show with Myron, and Sneeko was there. And there were also a couple of girls there, a girl called Pixie and another girl called Erin. And they are both streamers, and they are people who talk about politics and social issues and so on and so forth. And they were, and there was obviously a bunch of other girls there as well, but those two girls, I think it's fair to say, dominated the conversation. They obviously knew their stuff. They were very well prepared. They were familiar with a lot of research studies into social issues and so on and so forth. But the show started off, I suppose, fairly, I don't know really the direction that Myron and Sneeko intended to take it in, but the show started off very in a sort of fairly generalized way, I would say. And then what it's the conversation over the hour, or well, we were there for about 4 hours, but what the conversation then seemed in the end to center on was this issue of female roles in society and whether these are dictated, let's say, by society or by societal systemic problems, basically, or what the girls would have perceived to be problems, versus are they created because there are certain biological aspects to male and female nature, and certain roles are more suited to men and women, basically. Okay, and that was the key kind of fundamental question that we came to. And I just thought it was a really interesting conversation, so I wanted to sort of recap a little bit here, and without trying to misquote anybody or anything like that, but basically the girls' contention was that the reason that women tend not to be in certain, more high-powered jobs, but instead are more likely to be at home rearing families and looking after the kids and all that kind of stuff, is because of systemic weaknesses within the structure of society, okay, or what they would perceive to be systemic weaknesses within the structure of society. So basically women have been, for a start, for many centuries, discouraged, to put it mildly, from taking on, the more kind of traditionally masculine type roles. So that's the first thing. And secondly, now that there is a greater degree of fairness or equality, let's say, in terms of career choices, there's a lag, there's a kind of catch-up period, and so women are still not putting themselves forward for some of those roles or those positions in society because they're still operating on the older script, if you like. It takes a little while for things to come up. So while the women conceded that things are a lot fairer now in terms in society, and actually, of course, we could argue there's been overcorrection in some industries, but nevertheless, things are a lot fairer now. Women are likely to be encouraged to go into things like senior business positions, senior medical positions, scientific positions, and so on and so forth. There's this kind of time lag where they're going on the old programming and not taking action on that in the way that they could, and it will take some time to catch up with that. Okay, and then the conversation turned to, all right, so why don't more men stay at home and look after the kids? Okay, why don't more men stay at home and do those family-related roles? And the contention here was that because women are still expected to do those roles by and large, then they're going to be less likely to take up, a senior boardroom position, because she knows that she's also going to have to, look after the kids and do the washing up and change the nappies and all that good stuff as well. Okay, so and as I say, they put this down to iniquities within the fabric of society, if you like. But then I made the point, and this is my argument, that okay, that might be true, but let's be honest, men are not rewarded in society, or certainly not rewarded by women in society, generally speaking, for putting themselves forward to be house husbands. And I said, and I used a rather ridiculous, but there was a point to it, example of, look, if a guy put on his Tinder profile, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a woman to bear children with, and I want to be a stay-at-home dad, and I'm going to sit around all day and just look after the kids while you go out to work. How successful would that be? How successful would that Tinder profile be? And the general agreement was not very, okay? Because the reality of it is that most women are viscerally attracted to men who are go-getters, men who go out and make things happen in the world, okay? And I said, so, if you don't believe me, how come you don't get male action heroes who are stay-at-home dads? It just doesn't happen. You've got James Bond who's going out saving the world. You've got all these different characters who are going out and doing things. And that archetype, that masculine archetype, is what women generally, obviously there are exceptions, but generally speaking, deem to be attractive. Okay, the guy has to be an action taker. The guy has to be somebody who goes out there and makes things happen, without even getting into the more sticky waters of provisioning. And does the guy have to be rich and have money and all that kind of thing, or be a provider? But at the very least, the guy wants to be seen as somebody who makes things happen. Somebody who goes out there and creates action or takes action, as opposed to somebody who doesn't, and and I think this is why, well, there are many guys who are house husbands or become, they start to take on that more domestic role, and fair enough if that's what you want to do. But I believe the reason that it's not more widespread is because women just don't reward that impulse in guys, and that's just how it is. And that is a biological phenomenon. It's not a societal one. It might be societally enforced, but it's not a societal diktat. It's just what women respond to in a visceral sense. And I thought it was a really fascinating conversation. And obviously, the women on the panel had a different point of view. Well, some of the women on the panel had a different point of view. The two women in question, Erin and Pixie, had a different view on this. But to be fair, a lot of the other women on the panel shared our view that it was that these things were more biologically determined rather than as a result of patriarchal society. So it was just a really interesting conversation. It's not subject area that I cover to a large degree on this channel, but it was fascinating to really get into that conversation and listen to it from a female point of view, and just sort of get into the weeds with this stuff. So if you haven't seen that episode of Fresh and Fit already, it was on Rumble. I'll stick the link below. You can watch it back and see what you think. But yeah, that being said, as a guy, I suppose the takeaway from this, the lesson learned, is that as a guy, if you want to be seen to be attractive to a majority of women, I mean not every single woman on the planet, but if you want to in most cases be seen to be attractive, then you're going to have to position yourself as an action taker, as someone who makes things happen in his own right, rather than not. Okay, and that's something it's absolutely within your purview to do, but you just need to bear in mind, what is it that most women want? Well, they tend to want a guy who goes out there and makes things happen rather than one who doesn't. And with that, I would like to bring the video to a close. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Drop me a like, drop me a comment underneath. Let me know what you think about this subject. If you want to talk to me about your dating life, jump on a free call with me. The link is below, or you can email me, troy@realtroyfrancis.com, and support the channel on Patreon as well. The link is below. See you guys again very soon. Bye. Bye-bye.